Let's talk about the psychology behind the phrase misery loves company. When you surround yourself with toxic people, you will eventually sink to the lowest common denominator. Now, this applies to everybody, but it is especially true when it comes to women. Let me explain. Generally speaking, the gender stereotypes are true. Men tend to be more comfortable in their own company, while women primarily define themselves through social connections and relationships. If we look back in tribal days, women spent a lot of time socializing, forming connections, working on tasks like cooking and raising children. For these women, social bonds were not just for pleasure, but also for their sense of psychological safety, their survival. With that said, women are much more likely to conform to the environment than men. So it is extremely important that you do not underestimate the impact that a woman's friends can have on her values and beliefs. You should pay very close attention to the company that your girlfriend or your wife keeps. If your girlfriend's friends are negative, toxic, narcissistic, chances are your girlfriend is going to be like that too. But if her friends are kind, intelligent, confident, then rest easy, you probably found a good one. People with high self-esteem tend to spend time with other people who also have high self-esteem. And of course, the opposite is true as well. We all know that misery loves company. You see, when it comes to female friendship, any deviations from the norm are going to be met with an intense pressure to conform. If you differentiate too far from the group, other women are going to treat that as a threat. There's going to be a lot of pressure to even out that difference to make everybody the same. The reason for this is because women feel safer when they're surrounded by other women who make similar choices as they do. For example, you take a woman who's very traditional, feminine, and she has chosen to remain a virgin until marriage. If she begins to associate with a group of highly promiscuous women, you will see that her values will begin to shift as she's seeking approval and desire to fit in. On top of this, other promiscuous women will try to exert their influence because they want her to be just like them. Psychologically speaking, that guilty conscience, that feeling of shame about all the men that they've slept with, every time they're around this virgin girl, that feeling of shame will start to bubble up. In a way, the virgin woman becomes a source of their shame, and that doesn't feel good. So what do? They're going to want to mold her into one of them. Since I'm promiscuous, if I can make her also promiscuous, then I don't have to feel bad about my choices. And here's an important thing to understand. Most of the time, it is not a conscious effort to suppress her individuality, but rather an instinctual need for everybody to be the same in order to maintain a sense of safety within the group. Another common example is when your girlfriend or your wife starts hanging out with really angry, bitter women who are single or getting a divorce. Guess what? They're going to start to undermine your relationship. They'll say things like, men are trash. Your boyfriend doesn't treat you right. You deserve so much better. I don't know what you see in him. You can do so much better. Look at me. I love being single. I can do whatever I want. Single life is the best. Blah, blah, blah. Of course, we all know that that's bullshit. But here's the thing, it doesn't happen overnight. And since it's a gradual process, your girlfriend or your wife might not realize that, and eventually, they'll get to her. Very soon, you're going to start to notice that kind of language in arguments in your relationship. What's even worse, and I know it's going to sound crazy, but by standing up to you, your girlfriend will discover that she can score points with her friends. So gradually, she'll come to the realization that you're more valuable to her as an enemy than an ally. This is how important a woman's social bonds are. She'll do crazy things to seek approval, to fit in with the group, even if it means that she might unconsciously sabotage her own relationships out of a sense of loyalty to her friends. You see, from a practical standpoint, it is so much easier to bring someone else down than to build yourself up. So that's what her friends are gonna do. They're jealous of the fact that you have a healthy relationship and they couldn't make it work. So every time they're around you, it reminds them of their own failure. So they'll start to undermine your relationship because they're unhappy. On top of this, it makes sense that they want to recruit other people to be just like them. That way they don't feel lonely. Think about it. If you were part of a happy couple and now you're single and lonely, and you have 3 of your closest female friends who are happy in their relationships, you're going to have less and less in common with those people as time goes on. And if you're going back to the dating scene, you don't want to have to do it by yourself. You want your friends to do the same thing, but how are they going to do that if they're spending time with their significant others? This is why women tend to recruit other women to be just like them because they don't want to be alone. In addition to this, a functioning healthy relationship is not easy, it's very difficult to achieve. So if you're single and seeing other happy couples around you, it's going to make you feel even more of a failure. But what's going to make you feel a lot better is if you start to undermine all of those relationships and recruit all of your friends to be single just like you. Because then you can be reassured like, oh, it's not just me, there's nothing wrong with me personally. It's just that relationships are very difficult and none of us can make it work. So in a way, you're bringing other people down as a way of coping with your own failure. Another explanation for why single women would recruit other women to be just like them is if a woman has been traumatized by her past experience with men and she can mistakenly attribute that to all men. For example, if her dad was really abusive, constantly yelling at her, hitting her, abandoning her, or if she's been in relationships with men who were manipulative, toxic, constantly cheated on her, abusing her, what can often arise from these situations is that she can take her individual personal experience with that particular man and she can unconsciously apply that to all men. So over time, she can develop this belief that this is inevitable, that all men are toxic, all men are going to abuse you, all men are going to cheat on you, they're going to disappoint you. Now, is it appropriate to have that belief? No, of course not. But it can certainly explain why these women would want to recruit other women to be just like them. Because for these women, they don't think that they're being a homewrecker or toxic or anything like that. They genuinely believe that they're saving other women from a sincere disappointment. Like men are going to disappoint you one way or another. They're going to let you down eventually, so it's better that you see it now rather than later. So that's why they want to recruit other women to be single just like them, because they want to save those women from men. Okay, at this point, I hope you can see how important it is that you pay close attention to your wife or your girlfriend's social circle. A good way to assess how good her friends are is to ask yourself this question. If you were single, would you date any of her friends? If the answer is yes, that's a good sign. If your girlfriend is associated with amazing people in healthy, committed relationships, that reinforces positive behavior in her. But if the answer is no, you would not date any of her friends, well, then you should be concerned. Start talking to your girlfriend about it. How does she feel when she's around them? What does she think about their choices, their behavior? If your girlfriend is smart, she'll come to the right conclusion and realize who she should or should not be spending time with. Now, in some situations, when you tell your girlfriend to remove those toxic friends, she might accuse you of being controlling or manipulative. She's gonna put the blame on you like you're the bad guy, right? But I'll tell you this, it's either you being the bad guy and protecting your girlfriend and your relationship, or eventually losing the relationship. As a man, it's ultimately your responsibility to protect her and guide her in the right direction. So you're doing it for her benefit, but you're also protecting your relationship. Again, pay close attention to your girlfriend's social circle. It's more important than you realize. If you like this video, I got another one I want you to watch. It's about how most women view a promiscuous woman as a threat. Check out this video here. Until next time, stay curious.